Welcome to Super Flixx, the podcast covering superhero, sci-fi, and fantasy movies. I am one of your hosts, Eugene Plowden, and with me, as always, my podcast partner, Joe Hartley. What's up, man?
What's going on?
We are members of the Martial Arts Center Network, and you can check out our other show, Fifths, Kicks, and Flicks, every Thursday on the Martial Arts Center Network. Just look for the Martial Arts Center Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Patreon. Joe, it is showtime. What's up, man?
What's going on, Gene? You know, just really just trying to get back in the groove of things, hanging out with the family. Took a little mini vacation, headed up to
Hmm.
Frankenbooth, a little Splash Village with the family. Uh, Things are about to get crazy. My son, I said last week, he finished up his first basketball course. Now he's going to do one and two to try and up his skills and get ready to see if he can make that team come fall.
Hmm.
And then other than that, my other one, she's about to ramp up with marching band, my middle child.
Okay.
And then my oldest, Ava, she's been babysitting. So she's got like three or four babysitting clients, and
Hmm.
she's keeping her busy. She wants to make money, buy a few things. She's working on her hours for driving, so that's always fun. And I mean, that's all I got going on right now. Family
How,
work.
how that's what happens when you get older, man. How was Frankenmuth, man?
Frankenmuth was fun. We got there Tuesday. We got there around 4:30.
Hmm.
I've never been in that place when it was like nobody there. We
Wow.
didn't wait in line. We didn't, there was like just it was dead compared to like when I normally go there. So
Hmm.
then, we had a good time. We swam and did all the fun stuff we like to do. Then we went to dinner, came back, did some swimming before they closed it down, and then we went to bed. We got some dessert and everything, and then we said, "Oh, we'll get up in the morning, have breakfast, and do it again." And then it was busy, so we must have just got there at the sweet spot
Hmm.
because it was super busy that morning. Because we got there at like 11, and we swam for a couple hours, and we had to wait in line for the slides, and the lazy river was a little more crowded.
What?
So
Where did you go up there?
they got Zender Splash Village has always been the big one, and then
Hmm.
Bavarian Inn just upgraded their whole thing. But we Splash Village right now is at such a good price because Bavarian Inn's so new, and
Hmm.
I think Bavarian Inn, everyone's gonna want to go over there. And honestly, like I was looking at it, they have a lot of fun and cool stuff. But I think the my kids and my family, we like the slides and the lazy river better at Splash Village from what we saw online. So a little bit cheaper, same food,
Hmm.
and we know that park, so we were like, we got lucky, like I said, that first day with nobody there, and then the second day, we were just looking to get a quick swim in before we headed out, did some shopping, and headed home. So
Okay. All right. You know what? Melissa had never been up there, and I took her last year or 2 years ago when I can't remember. And but we only went to we I took her to the Christmas thing. I don't remember the name of it. Was it Brenner's? So
Bronner's.
Bronner's, yeah, I took her there and we walked around and I think she got a couple things. And then we went over to Birch Run and did some shopping over at Birch Run. But I didn't even think about going to the other area of Frankenmuth and seeing the German stuff. I didn't see
Oh
any of that. I didn't see anybody walking around with a giant turkey leg or anything like that.
yeah.
So I think this summer we might go back up there and probably take the kids and do what you just did.
Yeah, it's really so the first time I didn't even know about Frankenbooth growing up. I don't remember going there with my family. And I laugh because when I met my wife, like they always did at least one trip a year. They go up to Frankenbooth, get some food, check out Browners, hit some shops in town. And so like to me, when I first went there, I was like, what is this place? Like the food that you get at Zender's or Bavarian, like they do family style. So for me, like, man, that's a lot of food. So I'm like, oh yeah, as a big man,
Mhm.
bring it on. Let's go. They bring out like 5 courses of food. So I'm like, hey, and it's that just keeps coming until you're done, and then you take the rest home. So for me, that was like, oh yeah, who's no wonder my parents didn't bring me here. I'm already a big guy. And then the Christmas store was fun, and my wife. There's so much to do there. Like you literally have to stay a week just to get half of the stuff. So a few years ago for my birthday fell close to Mother's Day, right?
Hmm.
So my wife and my kids planned a trip to go to Frankenbooth for Mother's Day, but
Okay.
that's what they told me. Technically, it was for my birthday, but they
Okay.
didn't, they surprised me. So here I am, I went home from work early. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna go have a nice Mother's Day. My wife works real hard. She has, the right to want to do this. And it was some antique, some crap I'm not even. I was like, I don't want to do this, but I got to suck it up and be a good person and be a good guy and everything. So it was one of those things like, and she knew she got me the second I was just like, I slept in the car. I got up and she's like, okay, here we are. And I'm like, here we are for what? She goes, for your birthday. I'm like, oh, I was like, man, I was so like trying to hold in all this, bad feelings about this whole thing. And you just flipped it on me. So what she did is one of the times we were there, I was online and there's a blacksmith and you
Hmm.
can go and make like a knife or a tomahawk or there's all kinds of stuff, and I just always thought that was something really cool. So they
Hmm.
give you a piece of metal, and then they show you what to do to they heat it up real good, and then you got to hit it. So we got video and we got pictures of this, and then at the end of it, like I had a very sharp knife that I made.
Okay. That's cool.
And so, yeah, it was really cool. It was a nice experience, but they got all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna
It's
have to
almost
check that
like,
out again.
yeah, and we stopped by there today and they started upgrading the whole thing. So, yeah, there's a lot down there that you can pretty much find anything for anyone out there. They got comic book stuff. They got collectors stuff like cards and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, lots to eat. Like just about anything you can come up with to eat, you can find around there. So yeah, we had a good time. We were in and out, just a mini little thing before Layla's marching. So Layla's marching band is 1 week of home camp. So every day she's going to the school and putting in like 4 hours, and then
Hmm.
she does 1 week at away camp. So she goes to like a camp like your uncle used to put on,
Hmm.
and they're there for a week. They're in cabins. They're getting up early and they're going through learning all the routines, learning all the music, and so it's something she looks forward to because she gets to see all her friends. Right? But, it's still summer vacation, so she's kind of like, okay, this is the last time I'm going to see everyone for a week. So
Hmm.
we'll see how that goes. She enjoyed it last year. This year, she's one of the older kids, so
Hmm.
she's gets to help out with the freshmen. She knows what to expect now, so it'll be interesting to see her perspective on it this year.
All right. Cool, man. Cool. Well, I've been getting ready for my trip, so pretty excited about that. I got the car put in the shop today. Got it serviced. Got the tune up and everything. Tomorrow I'm gonna get an oil change, or Friday one of these days I'm gonna get an oil change. So I just been planning out, the drive and everything we're gonna do in Niagara Falls and the Poconos and Cleveland. So we're gonna have a packed week next week. I pretty much figured out everything that we're going to do except for Tuesday and Wednesday. I told her those are her days where she can figure out what it is that she wants to do. But other than that, because I know her, man. I know her. She will flip flop and go back and forth on what she want to do. So I just said, you know what, I'm gonna make this easier. I'm just gonna plan the whole trip. All she has to do is just get in the car and ride, and just show up when I said we got to go somewhere. That's it. So I made it easy on myself. At some point this summer, I got to take Champ away. He told me that he wanted to go away with me somewhere, so I got to figure out what I'm gonna do with him. Probably I would say Cedar Point, man, but I don't know, man.
Man, I can't remember the last time I was at Cedar Point.
It's funny. I just saw a picture from me from the last time I went to Cedar Point. I just saw it yesterday, and it was back in 2017 when I was working at Google. and
Oh wow.
they took us down there, man, and I did not want to go at all. I'm going with my coworkers, and they got all these rules. You can't do this, you can't do that. I'm like, we are not kids. We're grown people. I'm over 40, and you're telling me what I can and can't do. That's crazy.
What kind of rules? That's weird.
No alcohol. They told us I don't even drink that much, but just the simple fact that they told me no alcohol. I'm like, how can you tell us no alcohol? We are all grown people here on this trip. That sounds crazy. And of course, they told people no smoking, no cigarettes, or any vapes or anything like that. And I'm just like, I think that might be actually a rule at Cedar Point that you can't smoke. Um, because I could imagine why you would be able to smoke at Cedar Point with all the kids and everything around.
You
But when you go
shouldn't be
to a
able to, but
yeah,
people still
but when you
try.
yeah, yeah, and but the little restaurants that they have there, like how you gonna tell people you can't get a beer or get a cocktail or something like that? That's just crazy. So I'm not a rider. I don't ride rides and all that stuff. So the only reason I went was because I didn't want to work. If you didn't go on the trip, you had to go to work.
For
So
real?
yeah,
Well, that's a
yeah.
no-brainer.
Yeah, exactly. So, because at first they said, I told them, I said, no, I'm all right. I don't need to go because we would have we hit a bonus or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but we hit a bonus, and so as appreciation for doing what we did for work, they said you guys can go to Cedar Point. So they chartered a bus and everything. The bus took us down there and everything, and it was cool, I guess, but I just wasn't in the mood to be there. Especially I mean I'm with a bunch of people. Like I hadn't been working there that long, so it's not like all those people were right technically friends. They were just coworkers. So
Yeah.
it's not like I'm about to just go have fun with these people I've only known for a few months. So I really wasn't into it that much, man. So um, other than that, man, tomorrow I got today. I start my vacation tomorrow. So I'm gonna pick Champ up, do some stuff with him, take him to the library, let him get a couple of books because he has to read for the summer for school. So he got to get a couple of books, and I think me and him might take in a movie. I think we're gonna go see Superman tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we might go do that. And then also take him to golf. He likes to golf, so might take him to the driving range and let him hit some balls for about an hour. But he'll get through a bucket in about an hour or so, or whatever. So I was gonna have him meet back up with his coach, but he said he didn't want to do it. He said I just want to go and just hit the ball. So I said okay, cool. So I think we're gonna go do that tomorrow. So but it's been empty house. Champ's not here with us. Dakota is, she's in this engineering program, and so she stays on campus in the summertime. So we pick
Okay.
her up on the weekend. So she actually gets out. This is so weird this year. She gets out Thursday at 3:30. We got to pick her up. Then Friday morning, we have to take her back to the school because they do field trips on Fridays. So we got to get up and she has to be there by 8:30. So we got to take her back to the school at 8:30. Then she gets out. She's done at 3:30. And then she goes right
Where's
back
this at?
Sunday. Luckily, this year it's at Lawrence Tech. Last year we had to
Okay.
drive out to Easter to do that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so that was it wasn't that bad of a drive. Kind of got used to it after a while, after a few weeks or whatever. But
My,
Lawrence Tech is not far from me.
yeah, I know. My wife went to both those schools.
Okay,
So when I met my wife, she was at Kendall, and
okay.
she did a 1 year at Grand Valley. When I met her, she was at Kendall. She
That
finished her
Kendall's
year
in Grand
there.
Rapids, isn't it?
Yeah, they're both. Kendall's
Okay,
a part of Grand Valley and Ferris, I think.
okay,
So
okay,
it's their art program, their art
okay.
school. So then she came back to live over by me, and she hit like Baker, Lawrence Tech, uh, OCC. So she did that and finished her degree for interior design, and then she worked in the field for like 12 years, and then she said, I'm gonna go be a teacher now.
Hmm,
And then she only had to do like a year and a half at Eastern for the art teacher degree, and then so now she has two degrees. She got the bachelor and the associate. So I was like, okay, that works.
okay, cool. All right. So you ready to get into the movie?
Oh yeah, man. I've
Spider-Man.
always said, to me, the casting on this was so good, and Tobey Maguire
Mhm.
to me is the best Peter Parker. His Spider-Man is good too,
Yep.
but his Peter Parker, to me, it's better than Andrew Garfield and
Toby. I mean,
uh
Tom. Tom.
yeah, Tom. So to me, that I've just said that all the time, and I really like they got the good MJ, even Harry, uh, who Harry to me, I know we're not getting into the second and third one, but to me, Harry in the third one, they could have done a better Hobgoblin. Like I was kind of excited for that, and they did a decent job, but that movie just, it's so much potential, and the way they did it, they kind of messed it up.
There's, yeah, I agree. I don't. I think he was supposed to be Green Goblin, still just a newer version of Green Goblin.
Yeah.
The rumor was that he was going to be Hobgoblin instead of Green Goblin like his dad, but in the comics he's Green Goblin like his dad. Um, I agree. Like him and William Dafoe, they look to me. They remind me of Norman and Harry Osborn. Even though the hair,
Yes.
they seem like they could have been them. Even though the hair in the comic books is way different than that, but still, just looking at them two, they look like father and son to me. And I totally bought them as father and son, as Harry and
Now,
Norman Osborn. I never
now
was.
we
I was never was crazy with the pick for MJ though. Back in the day, when I saw the movie recently though, she was all right. But back in the day, I was like, why did they pick her to be MJ?
No, I agree with that because I was kind of the same way. But I mean, so far until later on, like if they would have done 4 or 5 more movies,
Hmm.
like I think because MJ gets more involved, but
Hmm.
for what her character is right now, she worked out just fine.
Yeah, yeah.
And this movie, just like all the other movies, when we talk about like Superman doing the nerd thing overdone,
Hmm.
it's done in this, but it works because
He did it. He
Peter
did it right.
Parker is a nerd.
Yeah.
Like he is a science guy.
Hmm.
He's always into all this science stuff, and so he works like that, and then so it works for him. And then, he never really, becomes the cool guy. I mean, they kind of did it in the third one, but he just once he becomes Spider-Man, he learns, how to work with both his science and his new found powers. So we see MJ and the rest of the school on the bus. And of course, Peter's running after the bus. And everyone's smiling and laughing and think it's hilarious that he's going to miss. And of course, MJ comes to his rescue and tells the bus driver to stop
I'm
the
like,
bus, and he gets on.
why was he even smiling and laughing too? The bus driver was smiling.
I
I was like,
know.
he's an asshole for that. A kid is running behind the bus. What if Peter had got hit by a car or got injured or whatever? That bus driver's in trouble at that point.
Pretty much. Not only that, but then we play the, seats taken Forrest
Yeah,
Gump game,
yeah.
which it's so freaking annoying to me because it's like, you know what? I never had that issue on the bus, but
No,
if
I
I
haven't
did,
either.
I'm bigger than most people, so I'm gonna be like, move your ass over or get out because I'm not standing this whole time because you want to be a jerk or you don't want to sit. This is gonna be 5 minutes on this bus ride. You can sit next to my weird butt. Okay, deal with it.
You know what? A couple of times on this episode, you said that you were big, but when you were a teenager, when you were 16, you weren't that big. Like
I
you
mean,
you
not
could
as
tell you were an athlete. Like you like I remember 16-year-old Joe, and you looked like either like you played football or a wrestler, but you weren't, you were athletic, plus you
yeah.
did karate, so
No,
you
I
weren't
was,
like
but
you weren't like
I
one of those
looked.
awkward big guys or anything like that.
No, 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 no. Because of my height, I
Right.
was I fell in pretty good. I was good,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so but it was just funny because and I hit my growth spurt at the right time because my brother and I went to high school and we almost looked like seniors. So
Mm.
all that picking on the freshmen, it just
Hmm.
we didn't have to deal with that because nobody thought we were freshmen. So we got lucky. And I feel because I saw a lot of people they looked like they were still eighth graders.
Oh, I know
Got
I
got
did.
picked on.
Yeah, I know I did
So
when I was a freshman in high school. I know I looked young,
so
and I
Peter
was
gets to
short.
school. Peter gets to school, and we meet Harry Osborne and Norman Osborn for the first time. And Harry's, he comes from money. His dad owns Oscorp, and he pulls up in the rolls, and Harry's embarrassed. He tells his dad to like pull around. I'm like, man,
Hmm.
you got that money. You got all this. Your dad's a powerful dude. Yeah, roll up in the rolls. Say, what's up? I'm here. This is who I am. And then him and Peter, Peter talks to the dad and they kind of connect on the science thing. So, you're kind of looking like, okay, what's gonna happen with that? And
I,
they're at a field trip.
yeah,
Go
when I
ahead.
saw that, I was thinking, what do Peter Parker and Harry Osborn have in common that makes them friends right now? Because Harry, had got kicked out of all of these schools. That's what his dad said. That he got kicked out of every private school in either Queens or New York. He got kicked out of all the schools. He's wealthy. He's rich. He doesn't have the same type of problems as Peter. And on top of that, uh, uh, Harry's not really an academic person. Like
No.
he's not a science guy like Peter. So I was wondering like what do they have in common that's making them friends? I mean other than maybe they just feel like they're outcasts. Maybe that was what their connection was.
Yeah, you know what, that makes sense because I was kind of thinking the same thing. I remember when the first time I watched this. Now they're at a field trip and they're at like this. I don't even know what it is. It's some kind of science center or something. But their
Mm-hmm.
focus, like I don't even what class is this that their focus is spiders.
Yeah, I was thinking like maybe nature science or
Or
maybe
yeah, or
biology or
maybe
something. That's the
biology.
only
Yeah, that's
yeah.
what I was trying to figure that out. Because I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, but the teacher to me, like, I don't know teachers that well,
Mm-hmm.
but usually when you see a science teacher, they look like a science teacher.
Mm-hmm. This guy looked
There's
like a
not,
student.
yeah, he really did.
He looked like a student.
So I don't know. It was interesting. And then the funny thing is, you know, Peter is taking pictures and Flash and the other people are goofing with him the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I I think that whole idea is overplayed. I've been on many field trips
Mm-hmm.
and nobody everyone's just excited to not be in school.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
not
yeah.
looking to mess with these kids or mess with other people. They're looking to just like, hey, let's turn up because we're not in school.
Yeah.
So I was
I've never
like, this was just overplayed for the movie. It was unnecessary.
Mhm. I mean, I guess some kids might really go through. I've never seen it or experienced it or anything like that. Uh, but yeah, you're right, man. Like on a field trip, like why would you be bothering somebody or teasing them or bullying them or anything like that?
So the teacher says something and gets them away, and
He
then
wanted them to shut up. That's what he wanted. Shut
yes,
up and pay attention to the presenter.
and then MJ kind of ends up on her own, and Peter was spitting off like different facts about the spiders and about the some magnifying glass or something, and he tells Peter like, "Are you going to go talk to MJ?"
You mean Harry?
And I mean, Harry tells Peter, "Are you going to go talk to MJ?" And he's like, "Nah, man. There's too many people." Da, da, da. So Harry takes it upon himself to go talk to her because
Hmm.
obviously, like Peter's not going to do it, and he starts using the facts that Pete told him, even though he has no idea what he's saying. He's just,
No.
speaking verbatim of what, which I
Yeah.
mean, if it works, it works, but it didn't seem like it was working. And then, of course, Harry, the teacher comes over and says something. So now Pete gets his moment to, he's going to, oh, I need a picture with a student in it. And so he's taking all her. That dude would have unloaded all his film on Mary J. They would have got to the yearbook club and been like, Pete, you
Hmm.
got two pictures of the field trip and 100 of Mary J. Like, what's going on? Oh, I was just trying to make sure she was in focus. Like,
Yeah, that's not
what?
the only thing he would have unloaded on Mary Jane. It was the film.
Right
Because he was
now,
spitting.
when they were looking, there was 15 spiders, and Mary Jane pointed out that one of the spiders wasn't in its
Yes.
casing.
I
So they
have a
said,
question
"Oh,
about that.
okay, maybe the scientists said maybe that spider's being worked on." But
Hmm.
then the camera goes up and you see there's a spider web, and obviously that's where that spider is. Go ahead, what you got?
The question I had, we've always seen this in every iteration of Spider-Man. A spider is loose and it bites Peter, and Peter shakes it off and it falls while and crawls away. I'm always thinking like there should be other Spider Men or Spider Women because I know he's not the only person that this spider bit because the spider's still
True.
loose. They never get the spider. So he's crawling around forever. We never, once he bites Peter, we never hear about the spider ever again, really. So
Nope.
there should be other people who have come in contact with the spider, especially in this building with all of these scientists, because nobody's checking for it, nobody's looking for it. It's easy to get bit by an insect, especially an insect that's going around biting people for whatever reason. So
For
I've
sure.
always had, when I
100%.
saw it, when I saw this today, I thought, okay, now because once he bit him, he shook him off his hand, and I was thinking like we saw him crawl away. I'm like, there should be at least 10 other people who get bit by the spider. There should be other spider
Well,
people.
maybe he got stepped on right after.
Maybe they kind of explain it now. They kind of do explain that in the Amazing Spider-Man movies. We'll get to that when we cover those movies because they kind of explain as to why it worked on Peter and no one else. But I don't remember that ever being a thing in the comic books, or it seemed like that was just made up for that particular group of movies. But we'll get to
Now,
that
the
later.
only thing that got me with this part was so the spider bites him, and then they pan to a computer, and the computer puts
Hmm.
together a DNA strand and says new species.
Hmm.
Now, how was that computer connected to the spider? Because it wasn't connected to Peter.
No, I just assume it was just for something for us to look at, us the audience. 'Cause I didn't think.
But and that's what I said. But I always thought like, how did that data get into this computer?
Right, right. I didn't even when I saw that part, I thought that's just for us. I didn't really think it was really on the screen because, like you said, it's they didn't even know what this spider was. Like
Yeah,
there was nothing connecting the spider to the computer or Peter to the computer or Peter to the spider. So that shouldn't have been
and
a thing on that
how
computer screen.
small how small of a computer chip could you get to put inside of a spider to keep track of it? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like that, I always wondered about that. I always just like, there has to be something in that spider because why would that? I mean, I guess like you said, that makes sense too, but it was just kind of dumb.
Hmm.
Then we the next scene takes us to Oscorp, and they're showing off a glider that we already know as fans is going to be like the Green Goblin glider, but for now, this is a technology that they're trying to develop. They're trying to develop a super soldier, so they need a serum. But the problem is the serum. One of the scientists says that the serum needs to go back to formula because it's any of the human tests they've done, the people come out basically insane.
Hmm.
Everything
But
else works, but they come out insane.
was it? I didn't think they did the human trials yet because I thought that's what Norman wanted was the human trials, and he said it was they weren't ready for human trials. So I'm assuming they have been testing it on animals.
Well, then the animals were going insane.
I think I that's what I assume because Norman says like it's ready for human testing. I
But
don't know.
Norman was acting like, because he acted like the percentage of people or the animals going
Hmm.
psychotic were low.
Yeah, yeah, he did. Yeah,
But it sounded, if I remember correctly, it was like 10 or 12%. That's too
yeah,
high for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right.
I mean, literally, if you're like, okay, every 100 soldiers, 12 of them could go insane.
That's
Like,
no.
as a family man, I'd be like, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to go out, kill a bunch of Nazis, and then come home and kill my family? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's
Yeah,
nuts.
yeah.
That's not good. Sorry,
No,
Norman. I know.
not.
So the military basically says we need more progress, or we're going to pull your contract, give all your money to some other company, which of
Hmm.
course is going to bankrupt Oscorp.
Hmm.
So that's no good. Doesn't work. He's starting to freak out. He's getting some anxiety, and probably is going to do something stupid.
That's how
So
it goes.
we pan over to um we meet Pete's aunt and uncle, and Peter comes home, and he's not feeling so good, so he he decides just to go right to bed. And
Mhm.
they don't even question it. They're just like, okay, whatever.
Hey, um, th- once again, so far we have seen a comic accurate Harry and Norman Osborn, Peter Parker, and even Uncle Ben and Aunt May are comic accurate. Every It seemed like they matched up everything perfectly, like they did like they did in the comic books, which I like, which I enjoy. I think up until this point, this has been one of the most comic accurate movies that had been made. Because I don't think the Batman movies were very, very comic accurate. I'm not
No,
sure about Superman, but the Superman movies were they could have been better when it came to the writing. Up until that point, I mean the X-Men came out, but they weren't comic accurate at this point.
no.
I'm not sure when Fantastic Four movie came out. And I don't really remember how comic accurate that first Fantastic Four movie was. And I'm not really familiar with Blade that often as far as comic book accuracy goes.
Even Jay Jameson was perfect in this movie. J.K.
Yes.
Simmons,
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
good.
hmm
So yeah, I love the everything in this. And
Everything about these
but
first two Spider-Man movies were accurate. It was like the third one. It was like, what the hell did y'all hit your head when it came to Spider-Man 3? Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute.
no, I think they had an idea of what they wanted to do, and I just think they dropped the ball.
Yeah. What they should have did was focused on Peter and Harry for the third one. You didn't need the Sandman. You
No,
really didn't. If you wanted to have Venom in it, you could have, but they could have did Venom way better than what they did in that third movie. But let's talk about this first one
100%.
first.
So then we go, and Norman decides he's going to be the test subject. He's freaking out. His company's about to go under, so he's got to do something extreme. And it doesn't go well. He almost dies. He goes. The scientist. The funny thing is, the scientist that said they should go back to formula is the one helping him do this against his
hmm
will, more or less. He's kind of Norman didn't really give him a choice. He just kind of
No.
went in there and started it up. And of course, Norman comes out after being receiving this gas, and he's crazy.
Yep.
He grabs a guy, he tells him back to formula. Like, why would you? And he throws him through a window. And
He
I
murders
guess
him.
later, yeah, we find out he kills him.
Yeah.
So this at this point, you already know what's going to happen. So yeah, here we got the Green Goblin, and the way they did the Green Goblin in this, because in the comics, he doesn't. His costume is
Yeah.
kind of Halloweenish.
Yes.
So the fact that they upgraded the costume to be a little more realistic for a movie, a lot of times I hate when they do that, but
hmm
this one actually worked pretty well.
I'm kind of torn on it. I don't really know how to feel about it because I remember back in the day when I saw it, I was like, oh man, why they have to have him like this? But like you said, like if they had a mask on him, it wouldn't have looked realistic. It wouldn't have been realistic, very realistic. It'd be like, why is he wearing? Unless they, I don't know how they would have did it and made it comic accurate as far as his
Now
costume.
in the comic, he's transformed into that.
No, it's a
He's not
costume.
wearing a mask.
Yeah,
It
he
is a
is.
costume.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a
Yeah,
costume.
that's what I'm saying. I think what they decided in this was we can go Halloween or
hmm
we can just go realistic. And I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. It was like, okay, I'm okay with it. I'll make it. It works.
Yeah, I mean, but like, why? Like, why would you from this in this? Why would you call that a goblin? It would have just been a man in a armored suit. You know why? Like
Yeah, true.
that was my issue with it.
No, I get you on that.
It didn't kill the movie for me or anything like that. But you know, I don't know.
So Peter wakes up and he's feeling better. He's doing good. I guess he just needed a good night's sleep. And his glasses aren't working. Like he doesn't need them anymore. So of course he finds that to be odd, but he doesn't think anything of it. He's just like, okay, I guess I don't need glasses anymore.
Hmm.
I'd be like, and his physique
Yeah.
is better
Yeah.
without even trying. Like, so there's two things already where you're like, something's not right.
Yeah, you would have thought a kid would have been like, "Let me go to the doctor. Let me tell Aunt May I don't feel right. Like I can see and I'm cut up."
Now this part makes me laugh because the fact that he missed the bus this time, he was right there to get on the
Oh
bus.
yeah. Well, he was
But
daydreaming.
yes, he was focusing on MJ, who was getting picked up by friends, or who
Hmm.
was picked up by friends while waiting for the bus. And then the bus just drives on by him.
Hmm.
And of course, just like he probably does most mornings, he is chasing the bus. I'm
Hmm.
gonna tell you, I don't think I've ever missed the bus, but if I did, I'm not chasing that bus. I'm finding another way to school, or I'm going back home. I'm not chasing no bus.
I've never
Now, for
taken the
me,
bus to school.
I know. Well, for me, all I would have had to do is if I missed the bus and I watched it go by, the next bus stop is literally was like 10 blocks down the street. I could walk there
Hmm.
faster than the bus could get there, so it wouldn't have been a big deal. But
But
I
this
just always
wasn't.
thought that was funny.
But you're talking about you're not. Were you talking about like a smart bus or a city bus or like a school bus?
No, school bus.
Okay.
So he like he does, he's hitting the side of the bus, and his hand sticks to like they had like a school spirit sign made of
Hmm.
paper on the side, and it came off, and of course he's like, that's kind of weird, but okay. So now he's figuring out how he's gonna get to, he's just gonna walk to school because MJ wasn't there to stop the bus driver this time. But then we pan over to Harry and his dad, and his dad is like passed out on the floor, and Harry's trying to help him up, and he's trying to figure out. But then his coworkers come in and say, "Oh, the scientist, who I don't know if they ever gave him a name, but so and so is dead."
Yeah, they gave him a name. They did. I remember them saying that, but I don't remember what his name was.
And so they he's going over in his head. He's seeing fragments of what happened, but he doesn't know what it actually is that's happening. He just kind of seeing it in his head, and he's like, "Okay, that's weird," but he just keeps going about his day. And
Hmm.
then we see Peter back at school, and he's starting to notice again. He's got this spider sense all of a sudden. He doesn't know what it is, but MJ's about to fall and slip on some juice. Which, by the way, why that little box of juice is not going to create that much juice, but okay. And if she would have, the way they were showing her slip, she wouldn't have just slipped and fell and looked dumb. She would have cracked her head open.
Yeah, it probably twisted her back.
Something like that would
Yeah.
have been a nasty fall. So, of course, Peter, with his brand new spider sense he doesn't really know about yet, catches MJ, catches the tray, and hands it back to her. And it's just like, what? So he's just
Hmm.
slowly in his head trying to figure out what's happening. And then he goes to pick up his utensils, and they are sticking to his hand. And then all of a sudden, some webbing comes out, and he shoots the webbing and pulls the tray, which of course hits none other than Flash, like the
Hmm.
biggest, baddest dude in school.
Yeah.
And now, you know, instead of like sitting around to see what's going to happen, he just runs away because he's freaked out. Of course, he's
Yeah.
freaked out. Like, what the heck is happening to me? Why is this going on? And all Flash can figure out is like, dude, is this guy trying to mess with me? So, of course, he's going to go beat him up. Go ahead.
I heard. I think Toby Maguire said that he did the tray thing in real life, like when everything dropped and he caught everything on the tray. I heard that was done in real life. Now, of course, it was sped up. I don't know how true that is, but I've heard more than one person said that that was real. How he did that, and if so, that's pretty cool. If
How
he
many
really did
takes, I
that,
wonder? How
yeah,
many
that
takes?
that's pretty cool. If that's really real and he really got all that stuff like that, that's cool.
This next part where Flash is going to fight, I like the way they start with his spider sense when he's first
Yeah,
noticing
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Everything slows down. You can see a fly, and he
Hmm.
just looks like he sees and he feels a punch coming, and he
Hmm.
can move out of the way with like no effort whatsoever.
Hmm.
And of course, Flash is pissed. Harry's trying to figure out what's going on. MJ is telling Flash to calm down, but Peter's holding his own. So Harry's like, who am I supposed to help here? Flash is kind of getting his ass kicked.
Hmm. Joe, let me ask you something. As a martial artist, have you ever felt like you've had some type of something that's like a spider sense? Because I can tell you, I mean, I'm thinking it's because we're sport karate guys, and the way we move and anticipate different things, it seems like our reflexes are really, really good. Because there have
Yeah.
been times where I've done things or caught things and I'll see it happening and it's like slow motion for me, similar to this fight, but in real time it's really not going slow, but I can see it happening and I can move or adjust myself or catch something. Because a lot of times people say, "Hey, how did you see that happening? Like how did you know that was about to happen?" Or just reflexes. I remember one time I was in class one time and we're talking and the teacher knocks over the chair. Now, this chair she knocks over, she does it on purpose. I don't know that she's knocking it over on purpose. She's trying to make a point about this lecture she's doing. So she's knocking the chair over, and I'm sitting there and I catch it and put it back up real fast and sit back. And the teacher turns around and looks at the chair, looks at me. I was like, "Oh, was that part of your lecture? I'm sorry, I messed it up." And she,
That's
and she,
hilarious.
and she just laughs when I did. I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. It's just my reflex. I saw it going. I caught it. I put it back up." But have you ever
I had
noticed
a
that?
100%, but
Okay.
mine was also like, you know, you have friends, they want to catch you off guard and try to like
Hmm.
come up behind you and or push you or like
Hmm.
jump on your back, stuff like that. My friends learned very quickly, like with my brother and I, you can't do that because like I remember the first time my buddy jumped on my back and he got
Yeah.
flipped.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Another buddy of mine, he came, he tried to push me from behind. Like I ran, grabbed him by the arm and tossed him into the locker because I was like, I thought I was being attacked, but like your
Yeah.
body just reacts.
Yeah,
Or,
exactly.
you know, it's just funny. So yeah, I that kind of stuff just happens because
Yes.
you've done this 100 times a day
Yes.
sometimes, and you just
Hmm.
yeah, that so it is interesting. But the
Yeah.
funny thing is, in this version, Peter is stronger than Flash, which he
Hmm.
shouldn't be. He is more agile, and he's doing flips now.
Yeah.
So even his friends, when they jump in, they're like, "Dude, you're on your own." And then he
Yeah.
just throws one punch, like a not even a good punch, and Flash goes flying.
Yeah.
And that's now my problem with this part is when Peter does all this and beats up Flash, their reaction is, "You're a freak, dude."
Right.
Wait. So if you beat me up and I'm the nerd and I just get beat up, I'm a jackass.
Yeah, I'm a punk.
But I defend myself, beat your ass, and now I'm a freak. How,
Hmm.
what?
I
Please
would have
explain that to me.
I would have if I was those people, I would have been thinking like, "Oh, he knows some type of martial arts." The way he was fighting, he wasn't really fighting like a superhero. He was fighting, he's dodging punches and everything and blocking and then hitting them back. I would have thought he was a martial artist. Like, "Oh, I didn't know
When
you
he
did
started
karate."
flipping, I'd have thought he was a ninja.
Yeah. Yeah, because nobody really does that in a fight, right? Not
No,
in a real fight.
no.
Right.
So that always bothered me when they're like, "You're a freak, dude."
Hmm.
Really? Okay. I'm a
They
freak who
they
just
should
beat your ass. He
they
should
they
have
should have
punched him
been like
again for saying that.
they should have been like, "Damn, you badass. Like, can you teach me how to do
Yeah.
that?"
That
Yeah,
anybody else would have been like, dude, yeah, he would have been getting high fives. Not
yeah,
everyone thinking he's a weirdo and walk
yeah,
away,
yeah. Why would you be a weirdo for defending yourself and beating up the school bully? That doesn't
right?
make any sense.
So this next part is crazy because now he's really trying to figure out what else he can do. He's putting two and two together. You see him look at the spider bite, then you
Hmm.
see him look over and he sees a spider web, and he's like, okay, if I got powers of a spider, what else can I do? And he looks at his hands and his fingers, and you see the little spider. I don't even know what they are, hairs
Yeah, I
or
don't know
something
what they
like that.
call it either.
And they look like they can. So he starts crawling up the wall,
Yeah,
and
you
then
know
he's
what I when I saw
jumping
that,
across buildings.
I thought about that. I said, well, what about his feet? Because his feet are in shoes. Because he's
Yep.
climbing with his hands and his feet. And I'm wondering, like, like how is his feet sticking to the wall now? But go ahead.
Not only that, but if he doesn't have his feet sticking, he's pulling up his whole body weight with just two
Yeah,
hands.
yeah,
That's a
yeah,
lot.
yeah,
And those little tiny fibers coming out of his fingers, like how strong are they really?
yeah. Exactly.
So then he's like, now he goes right from crawling up this wall to just jumping across buildings. Like, how do you know how far you can jump just by? You should have tested that first
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you could have been dead before you realized how to use your web.
I would have started off small. I would have started off real small, seeing how far I could jump. Like maybe jumping down a flight of steps or
Yeah,
something like
I
that
mean, this
first. You
dude,
know?
he was jumping between buildings, and it's not like 5 or 6. This shit was like 10 feet, man,
Yeah,
20 feet.
yeah, yeah,
So that was crazy, but okay, we don't got time to play games. We're just gonna figure it out. And then because he shot his web accidentally, so
hmm,
this part is hilarious because he's trying to figure out how to shoot his web. So he's doing all kinds of hand things, and he's doing abracadabra and go web
yeah,
go, and like there's a command for
yeah. He should realize he didn't say anything last time, man. It just came out,
up and away, and
Yeah,
Shazam was fine.
yeah. He was doing all
So
types. He was throwing up all types of signs.
and then he finally does his signature flick of the wrist, and the web shoots, but it doesn't catch anything. So he figures out he's got to figure out the aiming, and then he grabs a hold of a crane, and he's like, okay, I guess we're gonna start swinging
I remember
again.
when this came
Should have
out.
started small.
I remember when this came out, man. And actually, no, no, no. After it came out, I remember watching this with my daughter, and she thought it was cool. And I told her, I said, "Well, yeah, that's cool for this, but that's not. That's for the movie. That's not how his webbing really works. Like he designed his webbing. He has web shooters. He had to create and build, and he shoots it out because it gives Spider-Man limitations because that stuff can run out when it comes automatically, organically out of your body. It's like it doesn't give him any type of limitations when it comes to his webbing. So that
Well,
I didn't really care for that at the time. Now I don't really care about it. But at the time I was, because I was such a stickler for being comic
no,
accurate
I
back in the
agree,
day.
but they did because they did do that in the Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew
Hmm.
Garfield where he had to make it,
Yeah,
and
and
then
and Tom made his also, even or
yeah,
maybe Tony
so
did.
I wouldn't die. See, when we get there, I'll tell you some of my issues with the Tom Holland
Okay.
version because if it, I never knew is that supposed to be a reboot or just a
No.
continuation or what?
No, no, no. It's just some. It has no connection to these at all, to
So
any of
that's
them.
why I always thought like they should have gave us the origin story.
Oh, I know. See now that's an interesting conversation. I remember arguing with Travis and Avery back in the day, and I was saying that I was so tired of seeing Spider-Man and Batman's origin story. I was like, we don't need to see that. You can have the movies
Oh, so you're
without
disagreeing
going
with
back.
me?
Yeah, you don't need it. Like and obviously the Tom Holland Spider-Man show, you don't need it. We didn't see anything. We did not see Uncle Ben's death.
No.
He already was like he had been Spider-Man for like 6 months or something like that with when Tom Holland Spider-Man started. We didn't see any of that, and it still worked. We already knew,
No, it
you know,
worked. It worked fine. I don't know. I like
even
to
with
see
Ben
it.
even with Ben
Let's see
Affleck,
what's different.
even with Ben Affleck's Batman, we really did not have to see the whole. We did see it. We didn't need to see it though. We
True.
did not need it. I mean, it was not needed. The only reason we saw that was just for the whole Martha scene. But we'll get to that when we get to those movies.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, eventually. Um, so Peter's been out. He forgot to. He was supposed to paint with his uncle, so he's starting to skirt some of his stuff. He has a brief conversation with MJ, and then she runs off with Flash and all this fun stuff. Nothing really important in any of these scenes. Uh, he takes the fact that Flash got a new car. By the way, Flash got a really nice new car. So he's
Hmm.
like, "Oh, if I want to get the girl, I need a car."
Hmm.
But he's looking to get like this $3,000 junker.
Mm-hmm.
So he finds a wrestling event where
Mm-hmm.
3 minutes you can win three grand, so he can get this car. And so you see him start designing ideas for his suit, and he puts together the suit that he eventually does go with,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't have the time to make it at this point. So he just puts together like some pajama looking stuff for this wrestling event.
I like how they did that. I really
Me
did. I like
too.
how they did.
I thought it was funny. This whole thing was kind of interesting. And then you see him in his room. He's practicing his webbing, how to make things work and everything. And he lies to his aunt and uncle and tells them he needs to go to the library. And Uncle Ben was talking to Aunt May earlier about like, okay, we got to talk to Peter. Something's going on, and he takes this opportunity to be able to talk to Peter. And during that conversation, Peter kind of brushes him off because he's got one thing on his mind. He wants to get this money. He wants to figure out how to use his powers, and he wants to get the girl. So he's kind of mean to his uncle. Not necessarily on purpose, but you're a kid trying to figure some stuff out, and he kind of makes him feel bad. Tells him, "Oh, you're not my dad." Da 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 da. And then he goes off and he goes to this wrestling event. Which, by the way, this wrestling event is hilarious because
Yeah.
one, like I said, he shows up in pajamas and he wants to be called the human spider, and the guy calls him Spider Man, and it pisses him off. It makes him
Yeah.
mad. He's like, "Nah, man, that's not gonna work." But he's gonna wrestle Bonesaw, and who is Bonesaw played by?
Macho Man
Randy
Randy
Macho
Savage.
Man Randy Savage. This was so funny to me
Yeah.
because basically he was just being Randy Savage,
Yep.
a Macho Man,
Yeah.
but with a new costume and a new gimmick.
Yep. That's it. But he was still the same guy from
Yeah,
wrestling.
he was still, oh yeah, you're
Yep.
mine.
Yep.
Like
Doing the elbow
Snapper to a
drop and
Slim
everything.
Jim should have came out of his mind. I mean, come on. It was so funny. I loved
Right.
it. I thought it was so good. And you know, even when he shows up to wrestle, the lady at the front looks at him like, "Aren't you a little small for this?" He's like, "Don't worry about it. I'll be fine." They make him
Mm-hmm.
sign a waiver, and everything's fine, right?
Yeah.
So he gets, like I said, he gets out there. He gets mad that they got his name wrong, and
Yeah.
they,
He was
for
pissed
whatever
about that.
reason, they decided to make this a cage match. Which honestly, Pete was kind of mad about, but this worked in his favor because now he can
Mm-hmm.
use his webbing.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't have really been able. The only way he would have used his webbing, he would have had to go up to the ceiling, and it kind of would have been like, okay, maybe he has a rope for the cage, but for the ceiling, you're going to start looking like what is there is he's not shooting a rope that high. And nobody questioned some of his powers. They were just like, oh, sure, it's a wrestling gimmick.
Yeah. Now this is what I was questioning, but I know that this is what happened in the comic books, and because wrestling was looked at as being real back then. But nowadays, like this would probably have been an MMA fight
Yeah,
because you're not going to be in a wrestling match and think you're going to win if you're not supposed to win. Like it's predetermined what happens in a wrestling match. So if this is a real thing now, this will probably be an MMA match. So if you did the
that was
Tom Holland version, you can't have Tom Holland in a WWE thing because everybody knows that's already scripted. Like you already know what's going to happen. So of course this guy is not going to last 3 minutes if the promoter doesn't want him to last 3 minutes.
yeah. Could you imagine? That would be so interesting to see a Spider-Man origin story where Spider-Man is in an MMA match.
Yeah, yeah. But how do you do that? Like, does he come out with a mask and in his board shorts, or how do you do that?
I don't know. That would be interesting.
that would
Somebody
have to
could
be
figure
some.
it out.
It would have to be some type of underground thing.
So he wins the match pretty easily, uh, with all his powers and everything, and he goes to get paid. And of course, the promoter gives him $100 and says the ad said 3 minutes, $3,000. You pinned him in two. Here's what you get for 2 minutes.
Man, and I saw all that money laying on the desk. I think I was like, man, I would just take some of that money. But then I'm thinking like, now it's robbery. then I'm in trouble. Because he gets
I
gave him
mean,
$100.
technically, the dude you robbed you, more or less.
He
But
really did. I mean, what do you do? Like, do you just take $3,000 and let the police handle it, or like,
yeah.
what do you do in that type of situation?
So of course we already know, like just like in the comics, somebody comes in, he robs the wrestling promoter, and Spider-Man slash Peter Parker just lets him go by. And when the guy says something like, "Dude, you could have handled the guy no problem," he's like, that's not my problem. Just like the guy said to him, not my problem.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we know that's going to bite him in the ass later because he leaves. He goes to meet up with his uncle, and he pulls up to a police scene, someone on the ground, and who's on the ground but Uncle Ben. And this is the part where, most comics have a tragic origin story. There's
Mm-hmm.
always some kind of death or tragedy that causes you to have to become bigger and better than you are.
Mm-hmm.
And when Uncle Ben was talking about the fight with Flash, he used the famous line, with great power comes great responsibility, which always comes back to Spider Man's mind when he is, doing his thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now, of course, after he goes after this guy who, quote unquote, killed his father figure in Uncle Ben, he uses that to motivate himself to do better and be better and be something that Uncle Ben would have looked up to.
Mm-hmm.
But he does hold on to a lot of guilt. And they
Mm-hmm.
actually, like, they show a little bit of that guilt every time he talks to Aunt May. But in the second one, they really amp that up
Mm-hmm.
a lot more. That guilt that he has over his uncle and the way things were handled and everything like that. But it's funny to me because this next part, like, okay, he just finished wrestling. He finds out this guy and where he could be, and like he's kind of mastered his powers all of a sudden. He's
Mm-hmm.
swinging around, real agile, real, he's using his webs and all that stuff. So I thought, like, oh
Well, he
man,
was
he really
pissed.
figured this out real quick.
Yeah.
And he was very pissed,
Mm-hmm.
kind of wigging out a little bit. So he does find this guy, and he doesn't necessarily push the guy, but he doesn't stop him from falling and dying. And the police saw him. So the
Mm-hmm.
funny thing to me, what I always said, he wrestled in a spider uniform, called himself the Human Spider, was called Spider Man,
Mm-hmm.
flew around, supposedly killed the guy that killed Uncle Ben, and the police saw it and started. And then all of a sudden, a week later, a guy claiming to be your friendly neighborhood Spider Man comes swinging around, and no one says, "Hey, maybe that's the guy who was wrestling and killed the other dude. We should probably arrest him."
We are two different people, Joe, because that's not what I was thinking when I saw this part. My thought was,
What?
dummy, grab that money. He got the money. Get the money and then get out of here.
Get your
That's what I
money.
was thinking. Get your
You're
money. You did
funny.
what you're supposed to
You're
do.
funny.
I'm like,
You're
you don't even
funny.
have to go down there. Use your web, grab that bag, and swing the hell out of there. That's what I was thinking.
So Norman shows up and realizes, the
And
military
this
pulled the
situation's gonna
contract.
come back up. This
Yeah.
situation comes back up in another movie.
Norman shows up. He finds out they're giving the money to the other people. So of course, all of a sudden, he goes into Green Goblin mode. He shows up at the testing for the other people who are going to test their stuff and blows it up, blows the people up, blows the military people up.
Yeah.
The funny thing about Green Goblin slash Norman Osborn, all his problems are just caused by him blowing everyone up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're gonna take away my company, I'm gonna blow you up. If
Yeah.
you're gonna pull my funding, I'm gonna blow you up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
dang, bro,
Yeah.
it's a little much, but okay. So we go to graduation day, and Peter and Harry and Norman are all there, and Norman's kind of trying to give some advice to Pete about everything that happened, and he's congratulating Pete because Pete won all kinds of science awards and everything. And Harry's feeling kind of left out because I mean, Harry loves his dad and his dad loves him, but his dad seems to think Peter's kind of more of the son that he wanted, and that it comes up a lot with Harry
Hmm.
because he's like, he kind of looks like, I guess, my dad wanted Pete as his son since he's more into the stuff that he's into. But the funny thing is, Harry walks off and watches MJ and Flash breaking up,
Hmm.
and then you're like, oh, huh, Pete's over here getting all the congratulations, but Harry Harry kind of won that score in the end, at least for a minute. So that was interesting. And then we see MJ and I mean not MJ, we see Pete and Aunt May have a moment talking about Uncle Ben. And Pete says, I wasn't very nice to Uncle Ben the last time I talked to him. He was feeling down on himself. And I thought Aunt May handled that pretty well because it is really easy to say, like, when someone dies unexpectedly, to be like, oh, what was the last conversation you had? And if it wasn't a good conversation, that's terrible. It sucks. But
Hmm.
she said, Uncle Ben loved you and you loved him, and that's all that matters.
Hmm.
And that stuck with Pete because that's when he's going in his mind with great um with great power comes great responsibility. And then you see him go back to his original drawing, and next thing we know, here's Spider-Man.
Do you think Peter would have been able to be Spider-Man, the superhero, if Uncle Ben had lived? I don't
That's an
think
interesting question.
I think Uncle Ben would have found out that what he was doing.
Probably. And he probably wouldn't have been doing it well. Because I mean, the path he was on before Uncle Ben passed away, he probably would have been looking to take care of himself.
Hmm.
He would
Hmm.
have been looking for another way to make money. He would have been
Hmm.
looking for another way to get a car. He would have been
Okay.
looking for another way to impress Mary Jane. Like he's a teenager.
Yeah.
Teenagers can't fathom the idea and the responsibility it would take to be this version of Spider-Man. They'd be worried about themselves.
Yeah. He wouldn't have been thinking about being a hero.
That's
Not
a
at all.
very
I don't think so.
interesting way. And you know what? That is the one thing in number 3 that they got right. Because
Hmm.
he became that arrogant douchebag, uh, powerful person in number very arrogant and very selfish.
Hmm.
And
And
that
was that
could have
really
been his
him?
path on the it
Was it was?
wasn't, but it was the
Yeah.
symbiote bring those out in him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or at least that's the way I always understood it. Now here's my favorite part because next we see Jay Jameson, and he's talking about trying to figure out what to put on the front cover, and his one of his editors is talking about Spider-Man, and Jay Jameson's like, Spider-Man, screw Spider-Man, I don't like Spider, he sucks. And he's
Hmm.
like, he's a bad guy, he's a villain. We're not putting him on the front page. And then they're like, dude, we put him on the front page, all the papers sold out. They're like, okay, can we get a decent picture? He's so funny because he's like right on the ball. One minute he's like, screw Spider-Man, the next minute, oh, you sold all the papers, all right, I need a
He's
decent picture of Spider-Man.
he's all about money, man. He's all
Yeah.
about money. And that was
And what
Robbie
he's
Robertson.
yeah.
Robbie is always Jay Jameson's second.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Honestly, I never knew that.
And
So
he's
it's just
always
funny to me.
he's always been friendly with Peter and Spider Man.
No,
I think he might have found out that Peter was Spider Man. I'm not 100% sure, but I
I'm
mean,
sure he
shit,
did.
over
I be
this continuity, who knows?
yeah. Now, didn't he say $1,000 to the person who brings him a good picture of Spider-Man?
You know what? I don't remember. He
I
might have.
think
That
he.
sounds like
I
something he
swear
might
he
have said
did.
and then took it
But then
back.
later, when Pete brings him pictures, he gives him. He tries to give him 100, and then he settles on 300. But I
Mhm.
swear he said 1,000 to the first person to bring me a good picture. So Jay Jameson is slick. Now Peter wasn't there when he said that, so I get it, but
Mhm.
it was still pretty funny.
And he brought him a lot of pictures too.
A lot of good pictures
Yeah, he brought
because
yeah.
hello, he is Spider
Yeah,
Man.
and he's just saying crap. They're all crap. Luckily, Peter saw that he saw an ad for pictures, because actually Norman was going to give him a job working for him, but he didn't want to take any handouts from Norman
Nah,
Osborn. So he
true.
just so happened to see an ad that the Daily Bugle was looking for a photographer. So he decided to take that because he got fired from his job in the lab working with Dr. Connors. And I like how they threw that in there Do you know who
Me
Dr.
too.
Connors is?
And you know, yeah, oh yeah,
Okay.
the lizard. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Uh, I never caught that, or at least I
Mm,
don't remember. So when I heard that, I was like, oh yeah,
yeah.
okay, I get it now.
See,
Um,
that would have made more sense to me. The third one having Sandman did not make any sense.
no,
It should have been Lizard in the third one. It should have been
yeah,
Lizard. It could have been Venom if you needed Venom in it, and it could have been Harry. And Harry should have been the main villain in the third one to me. Like everything that happened in this movie, and then the second movie should have been like leading toward the big fight between Peter and Harry. That's what it should have been.
yeah, yeah, 100%. I agree. Um, this other part where Peter runs into MJ on the streets, and she's kind of living her dream, but not really. She's working a couple of different odds and ends, trying to get auditions and everything. But she mentions to Peter that her and Harry are dating, and she thought Peter knew,
Yeah.
and Peter didn't know. Now this part, it's kind of annoying because Harry really did break the bro code. Now he didn't do anything wrong, but he should have said something to Peter about it.
Hmm.
Because I mean, Peter has no claim to MJ. He had his chance many a times, and Harry said that, but
Hmm.
Harry should have just told. I mean, they're living together and everything. You
Hmm.
can't just not tell your boy that, hey man, you didn't make a move. Sorry, I made a move. It worked out for me. Bada boom, bada bing, whatever. So this is the start of the turmoil between Harry and Peter, and they do slowly build it in the next couple of
Hmm.
movies. And
Hmm.
like you said, it would have been perfect for the third one, but
Yeah.
it is what it
That's
is.
how it should have ended. Yeah.
Yeah. So then
And
we
it
go
kind of
to this.
did, but they the third they just had too much going on. I
Yes.
really if they would have just gotten rid of Venom and Sandman and did something else, they could this could have been a very very good trilogy.
Yeah.
Very very
And you
good.
could have put Venom at the end.
Or you could have even put Venom in it just to have Peter
No,
change because
as
he
a
has time with the symbiote.
you could have
You
put
could
Venom at the like a secret ending or whatever, the post credit ending, and then got into the Venom movies or gone into a fourth movie with Venom.
I wouldn't even say that. I mean, you could have done that, but with the way Peter was acting in the third movie, you saw how the symbiote took over him.
Yeah.
So you could have used that to help like be the gasoline on the fire to add extra problems between Peter and Harry. And then, he eventually defeats Venom, but now you got to deal with your situation with Harry. Harry now knows that you are Spider-Man and you got to deal with like the whole Sandman thing just seemed forced. They didn't need to do that.
No, 100%. But I know why they did it, because they needed to create a version where Peter got mad enough to accept the symbiote.
Hmm. I would have did that with Lizard. Like I said, like
Yeah.
have him like how a lot of Marvel movies now they'll have uh an issue going on at the beginning of the movie, but whoever is the bad guy at the beginning of the movie is not the guy that's technically going to be around at the end. Like when they did the second Avengers movie with Ultron, at the beginning of that movie, they were dealing with finishing off Hydra and finishing Hydra, and then Hydra was
Yep.
gone. Then the rest of the movie they dealt with Ultron. Also with I think Captain America Civil War. At the beginning of that, they dealt with Crossbone and his group of guys, but he wasn't the main guy. Once they dealt with that, then they dealt with the issues
Yeah.
between Cap and Iron Man, Winter Soldier, and Black Panther, and then that was the finale. And Baron Zemo. They dealt with that at the end of the movie. So there were ways where you could have done it and it would have made sense. But
Yes.
Sandman, like that, he had no connection really. I mean, they made a connection, but it seemed kind of forced. Go ahead, man.
It seemed very forced. Very forced. So we were at some festival, and Harry and MJ are up,
Oh, hold on, hold
up
on,
top.
hold on. Before you get to this part, so at this point, Norman Osborn is on top of the world. He thinks everything is going great, and the business is going good. And then he finds out that the shareholders, the board of directors, they're selling the company, and they want him to retire. You know how
They're
pissed I
selling
would
the
have been.
company to the people he blew up.
Yeah, you know how pissed I would have been. Like
Yeah.
like he was like, "This is my company." So I understand why he was pissed at these guys. Like, okay, fine. Like, and like you said, when you piss him off, he is going to blow you up. But he didn't just blow these guys up; he disintegrated them.
No, but
He
the crazy thing was he threw one of his bombs and he only disintegrated the people that he was pissed at. It missed Harry and it missed MJ.
I don't think he saw Harry there. I
And
don't
that's what
think
I'm
he would have.
saying.
I
But
don't
how
think he
did
would have threw it. Well,
that bomb was weird? Because how did it
Har-
miss them?
Harry had fell down. I think at
Yeah,
that point he fell down, so he wasn't in the way. But like you say, like that bomb still should have got to him also. But I don't think he saw when he came flying in. I don't think he knew Harry was there because Harry was looking for his dad, and they was
he
like, "Oh,
might
he's
not
done.
have
He's done."
recognized Harry because in
He was
Green
out of it.
Goblin mode, he don't. Yeah, he's really out of it.
Yeah.
So, and then he of course saves MJ, and then when Peter gets home and sees Harry, Harry's on the phone with MJ, and she's just talking about Spider-Man.
Hmm.
And Harry's a little upset. He's trying to figure out like what is, and of course Peter's kind of smiling. And then we go and we're starting to see the psychosis with Norm Osborn and the Green Goblin because he's hearing a voice, but he thinks someone's in the house with him until he looks into a mirror and realizes like the voice is in his head because now he's got this split personality.
Yeah, because of that serum he took, it kind of
Yeah,
messed him up.
because the Green Goblin voice in his head is talking about everything that they've done together to take care of the company and take care of themselves. And Norm's like, no, I didn't do any of that. He's like, dude, yes, we're the same person. Like,
Hmm.
I'm you, you're me. Yeah, you did that. So
Hmm.
it's interesting to see like the way they show this uh with him talking to himself in a mirror, and
Yeah.
you see the two faces. Eventually he's just talking to the mask, which makes
Hmm.
it even crazier.
Hmm.
And then of course you got Peter Parker trying to get a job with J. Jonah Jameson, but he's like, no man, freelance is the way to go. And he's talking about he wants to use the pictures, but he wants to make Spider-Man out to be a bad guy. And then of course Green Goblin shows up, so Spider-Man shows up, and Jameson thinks like, oh, I'm right because you guys are working together, and Spider-Man has to shut him up.
Did you
And then
recognize the Did you recognize Elizabeth Banks in this movie?
I did not, but I just when I was looking it up, I was like, oh yeah, that was her.
Yeah, yeah. But this was before she really got famous. She wasn't
Yeah,
that big at this point in time.
yeah, she had to do a lot more for them. So the Green
Hmm.
Goblin, he takes off with Spider-Man, and he has a conversation with him, and he basically says, "Hey, man, we're two unique, special people. We could take over the world. You
He
should
kind of
join
just
me."
slapped him in the head. Now, this was weird. I didn't this part didn't really make sense. He goes to the Daily Bugle and he wants to find a photographer that's taking pictures of Spider-Man. And Spider-Man shows up because Peter was there. And Spider-Man
Yeah,
shows up and he sprays him with this gas that knocks him out, and then he takes him and he's paralyzed. And I'm thinking, like, he's knocked out, he's paralyzed. You don't take his mask off to see who this is?
I
That
don't think
doesn't
he
quite
want.
that
I think he didn't want to. He wanted to keep the idea of we're two masked people because he to trust to create a trust. He could have showed him who he is too.
yeah.
Then what?
I mean, I can see
So
Joker saying something like that, like, I don't want to know who Batman is. It's way more fun not
no,
knowing who he is.
you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Um, so Pete runs into MJ again. They have a quick conversation, and then she runs off. And of course, like, was it three or four guys all of a sudden like going to grab her in an alley? That was a
Yeah,
little much.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
they
yeah,
could have
yeah.
tried to like. I mean that looked. If he wasn't there, it would have been a huge problem.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
she would
why wouldn't
probably
they
been
just have
dead.
it?
She
That's
probably
what
would have
I'm
been
saying.
dead.
Why wouldn't they just make it look like, oh, she's gonna get mugged, not whatever this? Because the way these guys were looking, it wasn't looking good. So
Yeah.
anyhow, of course, luckily, Spider-Man's there to save her, and then we get the famous upside down, pull your mask half down kiss that everyone loved about this movie
Hmm.
and became a trend and all this other stuff. Blah blah blah, whatever. I guess that was a big thing in the comics too. So I get it
Hmm.
why they had to do it, but
Hmm.
that's all right. But I mean, technically, she was with Harry, so to be kissing Spider Man again, these relationships in these comics, man, sometimes they're just a little all over the place.
Mary Jane was a freak. She didn't know what she wanted, man. She's messing around with Harry. She likes Spider Man, and then she starts having feelings for Peter. She didn't know what she wanted.
But she never seemed like she was ever really into Harry.
No, it's probably she was probably doing it just because she thought they were friends. It's like, you know what? He's my friend. Let me just give this a try and see what
And
happens.
I
See
think
where this
that was the
goes.
rebound dude. That's the rebound guy because he came right
Yeah,
swooped in right after Flash. But I mean, she just never seemed that into him. I mean,
yeah.
she did what she tried, but she just never fully ever seemed into him. Even
Hmm.
when he was trying to kiss her up on the thing during
She
the
turned away.
promo, she turned away.
Yeah.
So I thought that was now. Did she turn away because she knew Pete was on the ground?
No, she didn't know he was there. Harry knew because
Exactly.
he saw him, so he
Yeah,
knew. But I think she had a problem with what he had just said before that. He asked her why she didn't wear the black dress,
that's
and she
true.
said,
That's true.
I like this one." And he said, "Well, I told you that would impress my father," and I don't think she liked that.
No,
Especially,
I get.
you didn't touch on this, but earlier in the movie, we see that MJ has a problem with her parents. Like their parents seem like they were drunk and always fighting and arguing and stuff. So she didn't
Yeah,
really have a close relationship with her father. So I don't
true.
think she really appreciated how much Harry was trying to impress his father.
You're right. You're right. That's 100% true. I didn't even think about that. So, um, the Jameson puts out a paper making Spider-Man out to be a bad guy, and now all of a sudden Spider-Man is like bad guy number one, and the police are after him. The town hates him. It's like that makes no sense. So
No
the
sense.
news the news dictates who's a criminal, who's not.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Especially
Yeah,
when
that
everybody knows Spider-Man has been swinging around New York saving people. That doesn't make
so
any sense. Like, why is he a bad guy?
when he shows up to a burning building, like they start to try and arrest him, but
Hmm.
then he has to. They can't get in the building, so they're like, "Okay, we're gonna arrest you after you save these people." You're like, "Okay, no."
Yeah,
But then, of course, Spider-Man says, "Well, I ain't gonna be back here
yeah.
after I save this person, so go ahead." And of course, when he gets up to the building, because you already saved a baby, and he gets back up, and it's not even a person up there; it's Green Goblin.
Once again, I had a problem with that part too because I was like, okay, the baby's in the burning building. Why is the mom outside?
I said the same thing.
Like she left the building without the baby, or was she not in the building and the baby? Who leaves a baby in the apartment by itself or a house? That
I
doesn't
don't
make
know,
any sense.
man. I
Like you
don't
didn't
know.
say save my teenage daughter or teenage son and the baby. You left the baby in the house by itself and somehow a fire breaks out. What? That doesn't make any sense. I hate this type of stuff happens in movies all the time where somehow the parents are not inside but you don't have all your kids. The baby should have been the first person you got.
The second you felt there was a fire,
Yeah.
you and the baby are either staying there together or you're getting out together. There shouldn't have been no leave the baby behind and make it
The only person in real
the
life I
fire
saw
people.
the only person I saw in real life leave a baby is somewhere is Kim Kardashian. Did you ever see that video where she went out to eat lunch or whatever, and she come, she come,
No.
yeah,
What?
when North was a baby, yeah, yeah, she goes out to eat, and then she comes out of the restaurant, and then she goes back in the restaurant, and when she comes back out, she has the baby, and the headline was like Kim Kardashian left her baby inside the restaurant. But
Wow.
other than that, I've never seen anybody. How can you just leave
That's
your
crazy.
kid? Now
So
there could have been more
during
to that Kim Kardashian story, but that's what I remember. I don't know. It could have been something else more, but I don't know. Go ahead.
that's crazy. So they're supposed to everyone's supposed to be having Thanksgiving with Aunt May at the boys' house, including MJ and Norm Osborn. But during the fight with Goblin, this time in the burning building, he gets cut by one of the razors that were thrown out of one of the goblins' exploding balls, and he has to come home he was supposed to grab some cranberry sauce, and so when he comes home, and gets dressed real quick and has to avoid getting caught coming home as Spider-Man, uh, he has a cut on his arm, and of course he made up some stupid, oh, I got clipped by a bike or something like that.
Hmm.
But of course, Norm Osborn is Green Goblin, and he looks at it, and right away he's like, Spider-Man is Peter Parker. I gotta go.
I didn't like that part.
I know, but what are you
I
gonna do?
didn't. I didn't like it, but I'll deal with it. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
I'll deal with it. But I didn't like that part.
Uh, so Osborn, he's like, I gotta leave. I gotta get out of here. He's gotta go figure this, get rid of Spider-Man thing. And his son gets up and starts complaining. And of course, he's at this point he's more Goblin than Norm Osborn. So he's telling Harry, you know what? I don't. Your little girlfriend is beneath you. She just wants you for your money. Do what you got with her, and then shove her off,
That was
and move
bold.
on with
That
your
was
life.
bold. He
Yeah,
said, "Do what you need to do with her, and then get rid of her." It's like bang her out, then throw out the garbage.
pretty much.
That's messed up.
Now Harry doesn't really speak back to his dad, so he didn't say much. And so when he comes back, MJ says something like, "Yeah, thanks for sticking up for me," and she leaves. So now this party just basically got down to it's just Harry, Peter, and Aunt May. And
Hmm.
I don't meant to. I mean, I don't know why Harry wouldn't leave. He should have went after MJ or something, but I guess he just figured it was a done deal.
Hmm.
So that Thanksgiving's ruined, and we got to move on. And then we see Norm as the Green Goblin talking to himself, talking about what he has to do because they're basically like, Spider Man's all but invincible, but Peter Parker, can be dealt with. And then at the same time, you know, Harry shows up and basically gives the Green Goblin what he needs as bait because he talks about MJ and him breaking up. Well, oh no, first Green Goblin went after Aunt May, but then during that, Harry and MJ broke up, and then he sees MJ and Peter getting close. So he mentions it to his dad, and then the dad realizes, oh, Aunt May's not the one I should be going after. I should be going after MJ because, of course, MJ is the damsel in distress. She's already been in trouble two times. Why not make it three?
Right.
Which, of course, is a little crazy, but it is what it is. And I feel like isn't MJ always pretty much in trouble in all these
In the movie, well,
in the
I guess you.
comics?
Well, sometimes not as much as like this movie, but this movie is the only one that really does that because the other movie is Gwen Stacy and Andrew Garfield,
Yeah,
and in the Tom Holland movies, it's not her name is not Mary Jane. They call her MJ, but her name is not Mary Jane. And people seem to forget in the first Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, MJ is not even the crush. It's not even MJ.
nope,
It's another girl.
nope.
People forget that. It's the Vulture's daughter. So
Yeah, I forgot about that too. Actually, now that I think about
yeah, a
it.
lot of people do because they seem to focus on Michelle, who is MJ, Zendaya's character, and they completely. I think I said to the Trav, like, what happened to the first girl? Like they act like she didn't even exist. He was not sweating. He wasn't sweating MJ like she in that first Spider-Man movie. She was just kind of there in the background, just watching them, but he wasn't even giving her any attention. And then at the end, she became friends with them. Then the second movie, all of a sudden, he got a crush on her. It was like, wait a minute, you were liking another girl in the last movie. It seemed like you totally forgot about that.
Young love, man. So uh, Spider-Man figures out that MJ's in trouble, and he goes to her rescue, and he's met by the Green Goblin, who is basically giving him a choice. You can save this group full of kids in a cart that I just destroyed, or you can save the woman you love. And of course, this kind of stuff happens in these superhero things all the time. And the same thing happens almost every time. He's going to save them both.
Yeah.
That's just who he is. and that's what he does. And the funny thing is, the town that was turning on him helped him because they're
Hmm.
like, dude, this dude is trying to save a thing of kids, and you're trying to stop him, and you're gonna let these kids die just because you want to be this bad guy and make Spider-Man look like a bad dude. So the whole bridge full of New Yorkers are throwing stuff and messing with Goblin long enough for Spider-Man to save the kids, save NJ, get her to safety, and now they have their big bad final battle scene, which was
I
pretty
was
good,
I was wondering why Goblin didn't just throw one of his bombs and disintegrate all those people up there.
right?
That's all he had to do to get rid of those people. Go ahead, man.
Now he wins. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would have been. I mean, that would have been messed up, but it definitely could have been within his
Spider-Man wouldn't
purview.
have been able to save them. He wouldn't have been
Nah.
able to save them.
So they have a nice battle, back and forth. Everything's going crazy, and then Norman kind of shows up and tells, you know, Pete, save me, blah, blah, blah. This is not how I want. You tried to do this. And of course, Pete's freaking out and is like, dude, you tried to kill MJ. You tried to kill my aunt. You coming after my family. And at the same time, Goblin is, trying to trick him. He doesn't know about spider sense. So he
Yeah.
thinks he's going to run him over and kill him with his glider, and the spider sense kicks in. He flips backwards, and the glider kills Norman Osborn / Green Goblin, and that's your ending. And now, of course, Peter / Spider Man feels terrible because this is his best friend's dad, even though he's not himself. I don't think he would have wanted him dead. He probably would have liked to put him in jail and tried to figure out how to help him,
Hmm.
but he didn't really give him much of a choice. So
Well,
he does drop him off at his
home.
house where Harry sees him, and Harry assumes Spider-Man killed his dad, and this is
I didn't like
where
that part. I didn't like that part because
either.
Spider-Man has spider sense. So the moment Harry is coming in, Spider-Man could have hid. He would have known that that Harry is coming in, so he could have got out the way and hid. So he wouldn't have thought that Spider-Man killed his dad. And also, uh, Spider-Man, well, he had on his mask was half blown off because Goblin threw a bomb and it blew off half his mask. So he does not want Harry to know it's him. But he could have put something on his head or said like, "Hey, I tried to save your dad. The goblin was attacking, and I couldn't get there in time, and this is what happened." He could have said anything, but he didn't. He didn't have time. He had to get out of there. But that would have at least helped the relationship a little bit. Or he could have
Yeah,
came back
so
later.
this,
He could have bumped into Harry later on purpose and said, "Hey, I'm sorry about your dad. I didn't kill him. The goblin killed him." Could have
yep,
did that also.
true, true. This last part's a little nuts to me because now we're at Norm Osborn's funeral,
Hmm.
and we got everyone there. Aunt May, Peter, MJ, Harry, and Harry basically says, Spider Man killed my dad. Now I hate Spider Man, which of
Hmm.
course Peter is just like, oh yeah, we all hate Spider Man, but I mean he doesn't mean that because he can't tell him who he is.
Hmm.
And then that all disperses, and we see Peter, checking out on the grave of his uncle, and MJ's using this as a time to profess her love to be like,
Yeah.
read the room, lady. This is not the time.
Yeah.
This is not the time for this crap.
Yeah.
Like, keep it in your pants, lady. Come on.
Yeah.
And she professes her love, lays one right on Peter, which is like his wet dream come true. But now he's basically like realized he can't be Spider Man and Peter Parker without his loved ones being in trouble. So he just turns her down flat.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I definitely wouldn't have. You're choosing a job that doesn't pay.
Yep.
You're choosing a job that doesn't pay over the woman that you love. That makes no sense. I'm going to be Spider Man. I'm going to be alone. I can't let anybody get close to me. I can't have anybody love me except for Aunt May. I want to live the rest of my life in solitude for a
Yep.
job that does not give me any financial backing. That makes no sense. But that's what he chose to do. That's crazy. I would have chose MJ and and did Spider Man when the world really really needed me, and maybe not every night, going around saving the city, but if something like Thanos is happening. And something that's endangering the whole world, Loki shows up. Then maybe that's the time I'm gonna pull the suit out. Or if
Yeah,
I'm out and
he.
about and I just see something happen randomly, then if I have a chance to say somebody, I would. But
But the
that's
crazy
crazy.
thing is, MJ after kissing Peter like that, and him turning her down, she kind of looks like, hey, wait a sec, like she had an idea. So they're kind of foreshadowing her slowly kind of figuring out who Spider Man is.
Yeah, yeah,
And they really get into that in the second movie. They get into a lot of different things in the second movie. So
yeah,
um easily for me, this is gonna be an A. I
yeah.
mean, I'll say it right now. This is an A for the first two movies. I watching the third movie, I don't know if I'm gonna. It's definitely not gonna be an A, but I don't think it's gonna be like a terrible grade, but it's not a good one. So
Yeah, I'm giving this an A also. And I'm gonna enjoy the second one also. Both these first two Spider-Man movies are really, really good. Like I said, I just don't understand why they dropped the ball with the third one, and I don't know what I'm gonna give the grade for the third one. But like you said, I'm not giving it an A either. I'm probably not giving it a B. And it's not an F, so I don't know which
I
C or
haven't
D
watched
I'm
it in
going to
so
give it.
long. Like I've seen it a
Yeah,
few times,
yeah,
and there are parts of it that are fun, but I do know that it's not. It's they dropped the ball
right, right.
100.
So
percent
next week we're not going to do Superflix next week. We're going to have some time off, and we'll come back in a couple of weeks, and we're going to do Spider-Man 2. Do you have any closing remarks, Joe?
Nah, man, I'm good. Enjoy your vacation.
Thanks a lot, man. All right, everyone. Stay safe, stay strong. We'll holler at you next week. And I will play, oh, my bad, and stay super. And I will play our music.